Hello. This is not gonna be a very structured video. It is going to be more of me. I wouldn't say info dumping, but it's more of a reflective video on what I have absorbed recently, and I have something to say. But what am I gonna say? I don't know. So let's enjoy the ride together. Because it's a way that how I process, how I learn, and how I churn out the new information from myself. When I absorb an enough amount of information, and there would be times that I know, okay, it's time to churn them out, because it's when new inputs, going through a process, so would have certain outputs, right? And so this is the time. It's funny when I watch the videos on YouTube and listening to other people's podcasts, contents, and it's funny and it's interesting, yet pathetic at the same time. Sad. Because everyone is so serious about this. When we turn on the some of you have TVs, right? I don't really watch TVs. When we turn on these kind of channels, platforms where information runs through, a lot of the times this news or new contents that show up on the page, on the news feed, they are pretty boring. I'm being really honest, it's pretty boring. Boring in the sense that the most trending topics, they are actually the most boring. And they are the most nutritiously deficient kind of contents that you could ever consume. But they would be on the front page. They would be on the cover of magazines. They would be on the front page of the newspaper headlines. It's like us would see things like this everywhere. And especially for those looking for new updates, that's actually even more unappetizing. You wouldn't even feel life is worth it. You wouldn't even feel that life is hopeful and fun and enjoyable, because all of the things that show up on the trending page, they're not wholesome. Yet they are being prioritized to show up on the first page. Imagine a world. Imagine every single day you wake up, the first thing that you go to check, say, is news. But this page that you check is for what is the trending activity that you can play for that day. That is in a community, that somebody shares an idea on that page and say, hey, I have an idea. I want to play with this today. I want to build something with this today. Anyone is interested? Come join me. Instead of any kind of sad news, any kind of wars, any kind of political games that people like playing, a portion of people. Imagine that every single day you wake up to new activities that are actually to create something positive, new, fun, and wholesome. You actually get to play with your friends, not going to work, But as you play, you build things, you create, and you're actually working already. I'm not suggesting that this is not realistic. I'm actually saying that this is a possibility. Have you ever wondered why this universe is created? And even so, why would such a project being put into place? Universe is created for what? For fun. For fun. There's no stress at all. There's no stress at all to create solar systems. There's no stress at all to create planets. There's no stress at all to create galaxies. Then why are we stressing on a particular business project? Like, if we zoom out and you just realize that, wow, that is absolutely ridiculous. That I have all this time in my life and I'm here worrying about which person, politician, or whatever figure is going to make a decision or whatever. Oh man, all attentions go to this person. What if tomorrow you wake up? If you like watching TV, what if when you turn on TV, go to National Geographic? I'm not joking. Try it out and you would see the difference for that day. Start the day with something positive. You would see how the entire trajectory of that day would go just because of what you start the day with. And I find it really interesting of how many individuals would question things that they are not able to see, with their eyes, their senses, through the 5 senses. They can't really prove it. That science has come to a point where if there's no physical evidence, it means nothing. It means it's not academically proven. It is not legit. That people even try to prove scientifically what love is, try to prove how to hack the brain. And in fact, yes, we can prove anything if we want to prove it. Really. We can try to prove anything if we want to prove it, because everything comes from the same thing. Then of course everything can be proven. It really is. Like, if you think of it this way, if everything comes from the same thing, then however you want to prove it, it is proven because it is that thing. Right? If 1 comes from 0, then however you add 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, you got to trace back to 0 because that's where everything comes from. So in any way, shape, or form, you can prove it. Because 1.2 comes from 0, 1.4 also comes from 0, so they are essentially the same. Then of course you can prove it. In any way, shape, or form, we can prove anything as long as we want to prove it. It is really how we use the mind to shape the reality. So that is why when people experience any psychological disorder, like schizophrenia, having hallucination, honestly, hallucination is not really hallucination. It's simply when a person taps into another stream of consciousness other than the reality that the majority lives in. So that person here, the control center, taps into another stream of consciousness that would show up in another kind of reality in this person's own mind, other than the reality that he or she physically lives in, and that everybody around this person is anchored in that particular reality. And so what happens in this person's mind, schizophrenia or any kind of hallucination related to psychological disorder, would then only show up in this person's perception, this person's mind, because the brain of this person is wired to connect to that particular reality, that particular stream of consciousness. And so other people will not be able to perceive what this person perceives, and thus calling this person crazy or diagnosed as schizophrenic. When in fact, it doesn't have to be seen this way. Words are just ways of how people want to coin something. Words, languages are ways to converge, right? But when we have too much convergence, things then become simply matters and not having much meanings. The more that we want to the more that we want to converge into things, the more that we want to break down anything into details more and more and more, the more materialistic we become. Now, I'm not saying that the materialistic in the sense that we become obsessed with luxury, or no, I don't mean it this way. I'm talking about it from a scientific point of view, that if we have to prove anything in a physical way, through math, through physics, chemical reaction in a lab, we can, but we're missing a lot. We're missing out a lot if we choose to only focus on this kind of convergence or convergent activities. In fact, math is math is a byproduct of whatever and however energy is being constructed. Math is more of a byproduct, an end result, or I would even say a perception tool of understanding how energy is being manipulated and shaped to forming certain things. Math is not what's used to construct the universe, nor physics, nor chemistry, nor biology. So if we only look into if we humans only look at these subjects and trying to find out the truth of the origin, we are kind of like looking at the apples on a tree. Right? The end result, the product of what it is. Because the root is in the root, right? The beginning, the origin is in the roots of the tree. That's where the apple comes from. You have to start with the root first. However, even when we get the apple, the red apple, it doesn't mean that we can't see We can't understand the origin of the truth through the apple. We can, right? We literally can, because everything is from the same thing. But what we are doing here is that we are trying to understand why the apple is red. And we are just looking at the skin of the apple. And we do all sorts of experiments on the skin of the apple. And we even taste the meat of the apple. Oh, it's sweet. And we start to dissect the meat of the apple. And we throw away the seeds in the middle, in the center. All along, we look at the things on the surface. We taste. Some of us might pick up the seeds and look into the seeds. And so what happened is that we dissect the seeds, put them under a microscope, give them names, and make them into certain drawings, understand the process of the dissection, and that's it. But the seed, the skin, the meat of the apple, I'm not saying that it's wrong, right or wrong, or true or false, that we do it in a dissecting way, like scientific way of understanding the apple. But why not we just simply admire the skin of the apple? We appreciate the taste, the sweet flavor of the apple. And we smell the sweet scent of the apple. And take the seed in the middle and put them in the ground. And soon enough, it would then grow into a tree. What if we have been making things too complicated, too complex, when in fact we simply need to enjoy it? That we try to find the truth in details when the truth is there, here. We try to find the truth in the cells of the apple when the cell is the apple. So then why don't we just look at the apple? We're trying to find something that is right in front of our face. We're trying to deny the truth, that the truth is here. We just don't want to look at it. We try to see beyond, but we are so determined that there's only one way that I'm going to see into this matter, and that's the right way. And I believe that that is the right way because I know I am right. When in fact there are so many different ways of looking at things. Even if just for one apple, you can look at it from here, from here, from here, and from different ways, different angles, you see a different view. So, meaning that there are so many infinite ways of just looking at an apple, then how could we just look at one issue with one perception? That if we are so adamant in focusing on just one single belief, that there's no other way, then how can we see beyond? How can we see better? We are like stardust, so tiny, 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 but we are, each of us is the universe. The apple is the universe. Everything that you see is the universe. It's from the same thing. Every living and non-living thing, they are all from the same thing. Everything is fabricated out of time and space, like weaving or knitting, like weaving something into a fabric. There are many ways of weaving, different patterns, different ways of expressing colors, interwoven together, infinite ways. And with different expression of such weaving, such action or such expression of time and space, we would then experience differently. It is the design for experience on the material plane. And it really is a joyous thing to be alive. It doesn't seem so at this point, is because the system is corrupted. And this planet is not created for prison. This planet is not created for suffering. This planet is not created for enlightenment. This planet is created for fun. That the original intent of having such things to be created is for fun. Having fun. And then why is it that we're not having fun right now, right? Well, sometimes we're having fun, but why does it seem so chaotic? Why is it like everything is like burning? It all started with not understanding that you are playing a game, but you are actually playing a game. So imagine you play a video game and you are the one who is holding the controller. So you see in the screen there's a character that you have chosen, right? So you name this person, this character, Adam, say. And then when you start playing this game more and more slowly and slowly because of such focus you have on this game. You gradually are so absorbed in this game and you become the character. And this character then thinks that is the origin of things. And so this character in the game thinks that, oh, I'm God. When in fact, the person who is holding the controller is the real you. So it's disconnection. That's it. You think you're in a game. No, you don't know. You don't know that you're in a game. You don't know that you're in a game. Because you've disconnected yourself from yourself who is holding the controller. When you're so absorbed in this game and you think, okay, I can do whatever I want. And this disconnection then caused a lot of individuals, souls, not able to remember who they are. So it feels like being trapped, when in fact, it's simply disconnection. And so as people, more and more people got disconnected from themselves, that inner wisdom and inner knowing is gone because of such a disconnection, right? And so they get further and further materialized. Their mind, their behavior, their understanding of the self gets more and more convergent, losing the balance between the divergent and the convergent aspects of being a spiritual being having human experience. So when such a balance is lost, a lot of souls then get stuck in the game because they don't remember, they forget about who they are. When you forget about who you are, you don't know how to exit the game. Because you lose the connection to yourself, inner self, the one who's holding the controller, and you don't know where you come from. You forget about it, right? And that's how fear would start. Panic. When you don't know who you are, wouldn't you panic? If you wake up one day and forget about who you are, your own names, your where I am, you would panic. So in a similar fashion, that's how many souls would experience when they disconnect. They're disconnected. They disconnect themselves from their inner selves. And so fear would be experienced when one is not in touch with oneself. And so mindless behaviors would follow suit due to the experience of fear consciousness. And so it becomes a ripple effect or a chain effect of actions, starting with causing harm to other people, blaming other people, externalizing fear, externalizing struggles, all kinds of conflicts, internal conflicts would then be projected in the external. Because when a person's mind is peaceful, anything that they project out would also be peaceful. And so when anyone experiences chaos in their mind, in their state of being, they would then also project whatever is inside out. So if we see what the world is happening right now, is that everybody is projecting out their internal conflicts. They would say things online, starting fights with others, because they are also fighting with oneself within. They can't solve it, they can't resolve it within, so they would project it out. Right? It's a way to release the emotions. You see wars, you see all kinds of chaos in the news, all kinds of schemes and people playing games, mind games. It's because they experience all of this within themselves and they have no way to get out, and the only way that they can do is to project it out. Right? The mind is how we construct realities that we experience in. And so if the mind is not peaceful, then the reality would not be peaceful. So that is why that's why we see all the chaotic situations in the global stage right now. Is a reflection of how humanity feels internally. Yeah. And it all started with the disconnection with oneself, the inner self, and would then cause one to fear, because one forgets about who he is or she is, or being. So the way is not out, is in, because that's the root cause. The root cause is reconnection. The root cause is reconnection. And this is not relying on another person's reconnecting with themselves. It's a personal project. It's a personal game of reconnecting oneself with oneself. Right? So when more people operate with such, in a more peaceful state internally, would then the world become peaceful? Because when we experience peace within, we would then project peace in the external, even when interacting with anyone. And so the more people feel peaceful within themselves, would then be more peace being projected into the external. And so the world would become more fun and joyful and nice. So, yeah. I hope that one day I hope very soon that one day when we wake up in the morning and we'll just be very happy to be in this game again, to play again. Like I'm online. I'm online. It's an online game, like an online video game. And we get to choose different kind of fun activities and put it in our schedule that, okay, this is what I'm going to experience today. There's new activities, new creative activities that I'm looking forward to enjoy by myself or with my friends. And that's what we're here for. We're here to create new things. We're here to experience our own creations on this planet harmoniously, and not to repeat or recycle really old ideas in a sense, because that's what some other players' creations, we can take them as a reference, but we are the players in this era, so why not build something new? Okay, let's have fun. So yeah, that's what I want to say, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And I will see you in the next one.